The world unfolds differently for each of us. Why? Where do the rules come from? Within each of us, there is a unique philosophy shaping our thoughts, beliefs, feelings, worldviews, and actions. This is Inner Dialogues with Ecem, an introspective space for curious souls and minds. This is where you get to understand your individual philosophy that writes the script of your life. This is where we unveil the inner wisdom that guides you. Yep, that was your inner sage knocking the door. Let's go and chat with him. Hi, it's Ecem. In this episode of Inner Dialogues with me, I want to talk about letting it go. Whatever you want to replace it with. Let's start with a question, or maybe a couple. When do you know it is time to let go? How do you feel when you deeply know that you should let go? What is your coping mechanism when you're about to let go? I'm personally someone who always had hard times in saying goodbye. You know, when you're about to say goodbye to a loved one after a beautiful moment or day or week or trip you shared together. When you're about to say goodbye before you go through the entrance of the airport. When you are graduating from high school or uni and you're hugging your friends during your graduation ceremony in the campus. When you are about to quit your job and you're writing a final goodbye message or email to your colleagues. When you're about to move into a new apartment and you packed and it is that time that you're closing your old apartment's door for the last time. And I think goodbyes are hard for me because deep inside I know that I'm letting go that moment, those good memories or a period in my life, and stepping into the unknown where I don't know if I'm gonna have those lovely moments and memories again. I'm very much emotionally attached to those memories that I don't want to let go of, the things that created those memories, whether it's a place, an object, a hairstyle, a dress, a music, a notebook, a picture, a symbol, a smell. And my emotional attachment to these things creates a coping mechanism for me, which depicts itself in a form of a memory box, aka a trash bin, because those objects in that box has no meaning to any people in the world other than me. I assigned meaning to them, and via this meaning I get attached to them. Another of my coping mechanism is my dedication to self-growth and development. Of course, it is not merely a coping mechanism, it is more of a function of my brain and way of being for me. But in the context of letting go, I realize that when I know deeply inside that I should end that relationship, I should quit that job, I should leave that place, I should go back home, in whatever form letting go is having a part, I realize that during those times, I turn inward. I get in close contact with my incubator side. If that didn't make any sense to you, you can go back and join me in our conversation about being an incubator in the very first episode. My incubator side is in a close relationship with my dedication to self-development. They feed each other and they grow further and serve me in all areas of my life. My dedication to constantly further develop myself in different ways through reading books, interpreting every conversation, verbal or mimic exchange, every word I read somewhere is a unique opportunity for me to learn. This is how my brain is hardwired. But the other side of the coin is that I see every preparation phase as an opportunity again to further develop myself in that topic, to go deeper, to learn further. I don't get prepared for the end goal or end product. I get prepared to literally be able to spend more time in the development phase, in the growth phase. And this can pay back as a loss of time sometimes, as we spoke on the incubator episode. So, how is this dedication to self-growth and incubation a coping mechanism for me? When I face a situation where I know I don't feel good, where I feel that it doesn't serve me anymore, I tend to go inward and develop myself, equip myself, and extend and expand my skill sets, mindset, and boundaries. I don't blame other people in that context because I know that I cannot change them. And I'm not saying this from a place that, oh, I accept people and situations as who and what they are. No, definitely not. I'm not there yet. But this doesn't stop me from knowing and exercising that I cannot change them. In no way. The only thing I have control over is myself. And again, it's a limited one to some extent. The sign of letting go for me is not feeling happy, as pure and basic as it sounds. And when I don't feel happy and like myself there, I go inward to be more like myself, to find new pieces and parts of myself. And that is a form of self-growth for me, especially when I face situations where I should let go. Let me give you some personal examples. There were a time in my life where I knew I needed to end my romantic relationship. But I was very much emotionally attached to that person and couldn't end it. At the same time, it wasn't working. I was not happy. We were not happy from my perspective, of course. And I deeply dedicated myself to myself, if that makes sense. I got into the uni where my worldview just expanded all of a sudden, with different people coming from all different cities, with lovely professors and all these various reading materials and discussions and conversations I was surrounded with. And that gave me an opportunity to grow, where I can be myself in a place where no one knew me. I had the opportunity to be myself in the ways that I want to be. And that was growth for me at that time. I found myself, I found different expressions of myself. I found different voices inside of me. And that led me to a separation from all the things that I was before, which included my relationship at that time. And to this day, I still clearly remember what my partner at that time told me. You've changed. I did. I did change because I grew, because I expanded the boundaries and definition of Ecem that he knew, that he met, that I met him. I didn't understand at that time, but my dedication to my self-growth has always saved me, not just in that specific time, but all throughout my life. Saved me in the sense that I wasn't trying to hold on to my old self and the conditions in which she had flourished. I was able to become who I am today because of all the things I decided to let go of. Because all those things I had to let go of made me able to welcome the growth, the new sides of me that life was presenting to me. That is why I think we should tweak our perspectives when it comes to letting go. Letting go is a sign of growth, is a sign of welcoming a new pattern in your life, the one that is more spacious or maybe minimalist, the one that is more brave or maybe humble, the one that is more free or maybe more grounded. I have a couple of t-shirts and skirts that I love, but I cannot wear them because they're small, because they're from middle school or high school. I love them, but they just take space in my closet. Old patterns, expired relationships, jobs that make you feel not excited, tasks make your heart shrinks, occupy space and energy in our lives. We are emotionally attached to them, and that's why we cannot let go of them. But that is also why new things, new relationships, a new apartment, a new job do not come to our lives. Let me give you another example. When I started experiencing some doubts about my previous job, and doubts, by the way, are always a big intuitive sign for me to let go, my coping mechanism in the form of hardwired dedication to self-growth came to life by trying to improve my skill set regarding my job. I asked more questions, tried to take more challenges, and after a couple of months, I was far ahead in my job regarding my qualifications and professionality. You might ask, why do you call it your previous job then? Well, I told you before, my dedication to constant self-growth is also a coping mechanism in the circumstances when I intuitively know that it is my time to quit, to let go, to say, that's it from me. I tried in maybe the best and healthiest way possible to stay in a situation where I knew the expiration date has arrived. And that way was self-improvement. But the inevitable came. Until the last day, I stuck with my coping mechanism. I tried to learn more and more every day because it was a brilliant opportunity for my hungry and eager to learn more side. One of the other downsides of this dedication to constant self-growth is trying to constantly interpret situations as opportunities to learn and develop further. For example, interpreting any friction with my manager as a challenge for myself to speak my truth, to stand behind myself with confidence, assuredness, and to firmly set my personal boundaries. To be able to constantly realize many opportunities with this job that can serve in the person that I want to be was like a curse almost, because my hardwired coping mechanism was working against me by showing me the areas and ways where and which I can develop myself further, professionally and individually. How did I break the cycle? I followed the signs of letting go. I said before, for most of the time, my signs depict themselves mainly as unhappiness, but also as loss of excitement, doubts about myself and my self-worth, coming up with replies and conversations in my head to previous events happened on that day or week, making excuses, communication struggles, energy drain, not feeling good to be myself. And as signs accumulated, it's sort of become much easier because I had enough evidence in my hands that cons of this situation were outweighing the pros from which my constant seek to self-development. I think we should also consider the trust element in seeing letting go as a sign of growth. It will turn out okay. You will be okay. In fact, way better than okay. Growth won't bring you those old cherished memories, yes, but it will bring you the things that you cannot even imagine right now. A new way of understanding the world, a new way of living the world, a more prosperous, assured, free way of living. Wiser, happier, lighter, fuller. But as you can see, there's a deep trust behind letting go, behind growth. And I don't think this is a trust to a higher power, the universe, the system, whatever that is. I think this mainly and firstly and most importantly is trusting yourself. Trusting yourself that you will be there for you, for yourself in every prospect of situation your future self will face. You will be okay. Whatever you'll experience because you have yourself. That is trust. A deep-rooted trust. Now, I shared my signs of letting go with you, but I also said that I needed to wait for the signs to accumulate. So why can't we just let go when we feel the first kick? Why do we hold on to expired relationships, friendship, clothes, jobs? Well, one of the reasons that I observed was self-identification. We tend to identify ourselves with our favorite pieces of clothing, with where we live, with our jobs, with our marital status, with schools we studied in. So if I were to change the neighborhood, the city, the country I live in, a part of myself is also gone. I'm not that Ecem who lives in X city anymore. Now I'm just Ecem. But who is she? See where I'm going with? Once we omit or force to omit these labels, aka life giving us opportunities to let go of, we are faced to define ourselves with ourselves without an external factor or thing or condition. And that creates a feeling of emptiness. Like, what am I? Who am I? And you know what we tend to do in those sort of existential crisis moments? We tend to identify ourselves this time with our feelings and emotions. We say, I'm sad. I'm nervous. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm depressed. I'm disappointed. I'm relieved. I'm worried. Can you extract the pattern? I, as the subject, identify myself with an adjective. I identify myself with being sad, being happy, being worried. It is not to feel, it is to be. We don't say I feel sad, we tend to say I'm sad. We don't say I feel happy, we tend to say I'm happy. It's coming from the same need, the need to identify ourselves with something external. When we don't have those parameters, our age, our address, our hometown, our kids, our pets, our husbands, wives, we identify ourselves with emotions and feelings. And we do this even when we have those externals as well. It may be different in other languages. Grammatically, maybe it is not correct to use a feeling attributive adjective with the word to be. That's perfect. Beautiful. Less thing to identify ourselves with. But do you see the irony behind it? The irony behind our need to self-identify. When we let go of a relationship, we say, I'm much better. I'm happier than ever. Well, you're not happy. You're feeling happy. And that feeling of happiness will fade away. But if we were to stick with the first way of saying, which includes being happy, not feeling happy, then we fall into the same trap. Namely, we will again face a situation where we need to let go of that happiness label. I like to think of us human beings as a sea or ocean where there are constant waves. Some of them are pretty calm, monotonous, and some of them are pretty wild, quick, and disruptive. But all of them are waves, which entails that they will go away. They will just flow. If I were to try to stay with only one wave, it will look like this. Just pick one wave. Imagine yourself surfing in the sea of your being, where you are allowed to surf with only one wave. And when it ends and reaches the shore, that's it. Your sea of being also ends, because you minimized your whole sea of being into a small, enjoyable or tiring but temporary wave. When you say I'm happy, you're limiting your being to stay with the wave of happiness only. And when that wave ends, when you feel no longer happy, you don't know who you are, because you reduced your whole being into a single feeling. Or when you say I'm married, I'm single, I'm a doctor, you are identifying your whole self with being a doctor, being married, being single. So I think this need of self-identification is something that we need to be aware of in the discussion of letting go and growth, because it involves an irony where we're trying to leave something behind while trying to form into a different identification pattern. Before ending this episode, I want to celebrate you, actually. If you're here listening to this podcast right now, that means you have let go many things in life until this point. And you are who you are because of those things you let go of. Not only because you've learned your lessons from them, but more so because you gave yourself the arena to be who you are today. A big heartfelt congratulations to you. Letting go is not easy. We tend to form shortcuts in our brains to reach happiness, pleasure, enjoyable moments, and even for sadness. Maybe you weren't happy in that job, relationship, friendship, house, whatever, but you were staying in it until you let go of, because there was something in it for you. Maybe it was a validation, satisfaction of your intellectual needs or bodily needs, having a company and not feeling alone, whatever that was. You went against that conditioning, that habit almost, and you welcome growth. If you haven't celebrated that, now go ahead, celebrate yourself. Letting go might be hard, painful, doubtful, insecure, anxious. It can be many things, but also it can be growth. It can have a meaning of opportunities for the new version of yourself. When you feel the need to let go, know that it is growth knocking the door. It is the approaching footsteps of new horizons. It is this beautiful smell of flourishing and blossoming. Letting go can be whatever you want it to be, other than mourning, remorse, regret, gloom, and doom. Letting go by nature is not easy, because growth is not easy. And I'm not glorifying pain or difficulty here. Rather, I'm saying that it is very natural to feel a bit discomfort, expanding, stretching, when you are about to be a version of yourself you haven't been before. That is growth. That is letting it go. If your new version doesn't include your job, then you'll say bye-bye to your job. If your relationship doesn't serve the person you're becoming, then you'll say, thank you, but goodbye for now. If your neighborhood, city, country you live in, if the friends, the job, the partner you have do not have a place in your life, do not force them and do not force yourself to make them stay. They will be like shrunken clothes that you're trying to fit in or loose pens that you're trying to stay in. They either gonna choke you or make you fall down because they're too big or too small for you. When uneasiness or unhappiness, however you identify letting go with, whenever that comes to you, know that growth is on the other side of the door. You just have to open the door and let it in. Let it all in. Dive all in. It is safe on the other side. You'll be fine. It will be all fine. Trust it and let go. I wish you fresher and freer beginnings. Until next time, take care.